Do you think that if you chase a beam of light, it will slow down? Dead wrong, absolutely wrong. Even if you chase it at 99.99% of the speed of light, it will still pull away from you at 300,000 kilometers per second, not 1 second less. This isn't science fiction, this is the universe's most ruthless iron law. What's even crazier is that, to protect this law, time can slow down, space can twist, and even your mass will swell toward infinity. The entire universe bends over backward to make way for the speed of light. Why? Because the speed of light isn't just a speed, it's the universe's factory setting. It's hard-coded by the Creator, a line of source code. No matter, no energy, nothing can rewrite this bottom-level rule. In 1905, a 26-year-old Einstein was working at a patent office, slacking off while thinking, what would I see if I rode on a beam of light? That question tore open the deepest scar in the universe. And that scar completely destroyed the intuition humanity had built up for thousands of years. To really make you understand this logic, a logic that's not just counterintuitive but downright anti-human, we first have to take the common sense buried deep in your brain and smash it to pieces. Let's start with the simplest thought experiment. Suppose you're standing by the roadside and see a high-speed train, roaring past at 300 kilometers per hour. Now imagine someone on the train throws a baseball toward the front of the train at 100 kilometers per hour. In your eyes, how fast is that ball moving? Easy, 300 plus 100 is equal to 400 kilometers per hour. This is Galilean transformation. It's the absolute truth of everyday life. Velocities add. If you run fast enough, even a bullet can look stationary to you. That sounds perfectly reasonable, right? But what if you replace the baseball in your hand with a beam of light? If the train turns on its headlight, the light relative to the train is moving at 300,000 kilometers per second. Then logically, the speed of light you see standing by the road should be the train's speed plus the original speed of light, right? That is, the speed of light plus 300 kilometers per hour. The logic seems flawless. But in the late 19th century, physicists slammed into an invisible wall right here. At the time, scientists believed light was a kind of wave, like water waves need water, and sound waves need air. So light traveling through the universe must also need a medium. They gave this mysterious medium a name, the ether. To find this ghostly ether, in 1887 two hardcore physicists, Michelson and Morley, ran an experiment that shocked the world. Their idea was simple. The Earth orbits the Sun at high speed. If the universe were filled with ether, then as the Earth moved through it, there should be an ether wind, just like the wind you feel when riding a motorcycle. Then light fired along the ether wind, and light fired against the ether wind should have different speeds. One faster, one slower. Sounds reasonable, right? But when the results came out, everyone was stunned. The room went dead silent, because no matter how they measured, no matter which direction the Earth was moving, no matter whether it was spring or autumn, the speed of light didn't budge at all. It was always 299,792,458 meters per second. Even if you run toward the light or run away from it, the speed of light acts like a shameless thug, completely ignoring your state of motion. Back then this was basically a paranormal event in physics. It was like you're driving to chase the car in front of you. You hit the gas, it speeds up. You hit the brakes, it slows down. The distance between you never changes. Isn't that insane? At that moment, the entire building of physics was on the verge of collapse because of this problem. Just as all the great scientists were trying to patch up the ether, Einstein stepped forward. This 26-year-old kid flipped the table. He said, "Stop looking. There is no ether. What's wrong isn't light. What's wrong is our time and space." This is the craziest core of special relativity. It's not that the speed of light has to adapt to our time. It's that, to keep the speed of light constant, our time and our space have to twist and warp. Even if time has to stop, the dignity of the speed of light must be preserved. You might still think this is too abstract. So let's zoom into an extremely weird scenario. Suppose you're sitting in a spaceship flying at half the speed of light. There's a lamp above your head. The light from that lamp shines straight down to the floor. In your own view, that beam of light goes straight up and down, traveling about 2 meters. But for me, standing on Earth watching you, things get absolutely terrifying. Because during the time the light travels from the ceiling to the floor, your spaceship has already flown far forward. So in my eyes, that beam of light doesn't go straight down. It traces out a slanted diagonal line. The Pythagorean theorem tells us the hypotenuse is always longer than the vertical side. In other words, the distance that beam of light travels in my eyes is much longer than the distance it travels in your eyes. Here comes the key point. Einstein tells us the speed of light is the only absolute constant in the universe. Since the speed doesn't change, but the distance I see is longer. Using the elementary school formula, time equals distance divided by speed. The only explanation is that the time I experience is longer. In other words, from my perspective, time on your spaceship runs slower. You might just blink your eyes once, and several seconds may have already passed on my side. This is the famous time dilation. This isn't a visual illusion and it's not a magic trick. It's physical reality. If you fly even faster, approaching the speed of light, the flow of your time will approach zero. For a photon itself, time doesn't even exist. It leaves the surface of the sun, travels 150 million kilometers to Earth. We think it took 8 minutes, but in the photon's own perspective, departure and arrival happen in the same instant. It has no past and no future, only an eternal present. This is the first price we pay for the constancy of the speed of light. Time is no longer a uniformly flowing river. It's a lump of rubber that can be stretched at will, and it doesn't stop there. The principle of constant light speed not only murdered absolute time, it also murdered absolute space. If you could really fly near the speed of light, you'd find that all the planets you see along the way change shape. The originally round Earth would be squashed into an oval in your view, or even flattened like a pancake. This is length contraction. Space, to accommodate the invariance of the speed of light, has to sacrifice its own rigidity and actively compress itself. The whole universe is like a gigantic stage that's always ready to twist and deform. To protect the speed of light, its VIP customer, everything, including your height, your lifespan, your mass, loses all dignity in front of the speed of light, and can be altered at will. So the question is, why the speed of light, specifically? Why did the universe cap speed at 300,000 kilometers per second? Instead of making it infinite, what would happen if the speed of light were infinite? You might think that would be great. We could reach any corner of the universe instantly. Communication would have zero delay. But physicists will tell you that if the speed of light were infinite, the entire universe's causality would collapse instantly. What does that mean? Imagine this. If the speed of light were infinite, then when you strike a match, the flash would instantly light up the whole universe, no matter how far. That sounds beautiful, but it means information transmission takes no time. If information transmission takes no time, cause and effect get scrambled. You might see the cup shatter first, and only afterward see me let go. You could even send a message to your past self, telling him the winning lottery numbers. Then you could change the past. And if the past can be changed, where did the present you even come from? That's the famous grandfather paradox. To stop you carbon-based lifeforms from messing with the timeline for fun, the universe had to set an upper limit. The fastest speed at which information can travel. That speed is the speed of light. So 300,000 kilometers per second, rather than being the speed of light itself, is really the speed at which causality propagates through the universe. The speed of light is the universe's firewall for keeping logic intact. This leads to an even more unsettling conclusion. Einstein's teacher, Minkowski, proposed that since time and space are both changeable, they're actually two faces of the same thing, four-dimensional spacetime. And in this four-dimensional spacetime, there's a shocking secret. Everything is always moving at the speed of light. You heard that right. Right now you're lying on the couch scrolling videos, looking completely still. But in spacetime, your total speed is still the speed of light. It's just that most of that speed is allocated to the time dimension. You're sprinting like crazy toward the future. That's why you feel time flowing. If you stand up and run a few steps, you divert a tiny bit of speed into the space dimension. Then your speed in the time dimension decreases accordingly. That's why moving objects experience slower time. If you could shift all your speed into the space dimension, that is, if your spatial speed reached the speed of light, then your speed in the time dimension would drop to zero. Time would stop. Unfortunately, this is a deal doomed to fail, because as long as you have mass, you can never zero out your speed along the time axis. Here we have to mention that world-destroying formula, E equals mc squared. Energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. This formula didn't just create the atomic bomb. It also tells us that mass and energy are fundamentally the same thing. When you try to accelerate an object, not all the energy you put in turns into speed. As the speed gets higher and higher, the remaining energy turns into the object's mass. When you get infinitely close to the speed of light, your mass becomes infinite. To push an infinitely heavy object, you need infinite energy. And all the energy in the universe combined isn't infinite. So the speed of light is a ceiling that the material world can never touch. This is a closed loop. It's as if the universe is saying, you can play all you want in this 300,000 kilometer per second fish tank, but don't ever think about flipping over the edge. Dig one layer deeper. The constancy of the speed of light actually reveals a deeper geometric structure of our universe. Imagine we're drawing a map on paper. If you rotate that map, a road that pointed north might end up pointing northeast, but the length of the road itself doesn't change. In our mental universe, when you accelerate, You're really performing a rotation of your spacetime coordinate system. This rotation is called a Lorentz transformation. In this rotation, both time and space change. Only one thing stays the same, the speed of light. The speed of light is like a special reference line on the map. No matter how you rotate the map, the angle and length of this line stay constant. What does that imply? It implies that the speed of light might not actually be a speed at all. It's a property of spacetime's geometry. A conversion ratio between time and space. 299,792,458 meters per second. That's the exchange rate between time and space. What we call the speed of light is just the projection of spacetime's structure onto our retinas. Writing this far, I can't help feeling a deep sense of powerlessness. Humans proudly believe technology can conquer everything. We built probes that flew out of the solar system. We observed galaxies tens of billions of light years away. But in front of the absolute tyrant that is the speed of light, we're not even prisoners. We're just lines of code, running inside a pre-written program. The speed of light limits us, locking humanity forever into some insignificant corner of the Milky Way. Even the nearest star takes tens of thousands of years to reach. With the abyss of distance and time, it isolates every civilization in the universe into lonely dead islands. That may be why we still haven't found extraterrestrials. It's not that they don't exist. It's that the iron curtain of the speed of light is too thick, too cold, too hopeless. But if you look at it from another angle, it's precisely because of this speed limit that causality is preserved. The past can't be tampered with. The present becomes real. We can sit safely at home, thinking about these insane questions, without worrying that the entire universe will suddenly collapse, because some lunatic went back in time. The invariance of the speed of light is both the biggest shackle and the strongest protection. It's cold and merciless, yet gently guards every single moment of our existence.